a word to Naomi. If you could share the situation there in Kenya.
Thank you, Gabriela, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are listening us to. And I think this is a great initiative, just having this conversation about labor market outcomes for females and also education outcomes. I think it's called for at this time. Regarding your question on Kenya specifically, I'll start from a policy perspective, looking at women representation in political parties and even in political offices. In 2010, Kenya adopted a new constitution, 2010, and Article 27 of that constitution requires that there should be no more than 2/3 of any gender in elected or appointed positions. Now it's 10 years later, and we are yet to pass specific legislations to operationalize this constitutional requirement. And the main challenge is that the MPs, to pass any bill, you require a quorum of 2/3, and they boycott these bills. They are taken to parliament, and then you don't get a quorum, then it's not even debated. So it's quite a pity that 10 years down the line, we're still struggling with this sort of issue. And Kenya in the East Africa region has the largest economy, even the GDP per capita, it's the highest in East Africa. But when you look at the percentages in terms of political representation, we are just 20% of women are in these elected positions. When you compare to countries like Rwanda, it's almost 60%. If you look at Tanzania, Burundi, and Uganda, they are over 30%. So a bit of work to be done in terms of getting the numbers right. And if I look at a recent report, the gender gap report, it positioned Kenya at position 109 out of 153 countries in terms of gender inclusivity. So quite a lot need to be done. And when you look at female labor force participation in Kenya, we are just shy of 50%, meaning that a lot of women are employed. But the shocking thing is that out of this 50%, only 20% are in salaried or waged kind of employment. So we are working, but you're not getting paid because we are working in agriculture and you work to feed your family, and nobody pays you, or you're working for your children in the house and your husband, but this is not termed as salaried or waged kind of employment. The other thing is that in terms of employment, women are mostly in the agricultural sector. In Kenya, this is about 58% compared to 40% of the men. If you look at industry, women are less employed in industry and also in services, but this continues to worsen, especially in the rural areas. 85% of young women and boys who are in the rural areas between age of 15 and 24, 23 of them are working poor. So you're employed, but you're still poor. So because the minimum wage in Kenya is about $100. So $100, you have to buy food, you have to pay rent, you have to educate your kids. So you're working, but so there is an issue also of decent jobs that can really afford you a better lifestyle. So 23% of our youth are in category of working poor. In terms of informality, most women and youth are in informal sectors. Those who are between 15 to 24 years, about 93 of them are in the informal sectors. And there are all cost challenges that comes with informality, especially when you want to access finance. When you look at issues to do with education, I'll focus more on enrollment rates. So the World Bank previously had focused more on primary basic education, and we got it right. About 64% of female are enrolled in primary school. But when you go up the ladder of the education, these numbers really drop significantly. So from primary to secondary, you get to 32%, then to tertiary, you're at shy of 2%. So quite a lot happening in terms of dropout rate. So in terms of illiteracy rate, the youth are quite educated in Kenya, especially on technological issues, but that doesn't translate into jobs. So just to wind up, I think there are only two things that really can change someone's life, and one of them is education, and it's a proper education. The next thing is an employment, and it doesn't mean that you have to be employed in a white collar job, but